I, a nearly adult male, think my dad is unfair, despite everything I asked telling me he's not. I talked to my family about it for support, and they were unsupportive and actually called me ungrateful. I turn 18 soon, and my dad told me he wants me to start paying rent after I turn 18, or I'll have to move out. This made me upset because both of my brothers weren't forced to move out or pay rent when they turned 18. My oldest brother, 25, only moved out 2 years ago, and my other brother, 22, still lives with us. I told him this, and he told me that he knew he made a mistake when raising them and that he wasn't going to make the same one with me. I asked my dad if he was saying this to my brother, 22, and he told me that he wasn't because he was unemployed, and if he were to kick him out, he'd be homeless. I asked my dad why he cared about him not being homeless, but was ready to make me homeless. He told me he'd help me find an apartment and would co-sign the lease if I chose to move out. I asked my dad why he wouldn't just do this for my brother instead, but he told me that he didn't trust him, which made me angry. I feel like I'm getting punished for being well behaved. I explained this to my dad and told him that if he had parented better, he wouldn't have to force all his regrets on me. My dad got upset and told me I was being unfair. He said that I knew how hard he tried to raise all of us, and I can't fault him for everything when he tried his best. I called my family to try to convince my dad that he was the one being unfair, but they told me that I should be grateful. My dad cares about me and they agree with him. They told me his only fault is letting my brothers stay as long as they did, and they're glad he wasn't going to enable me. I did nothing wrong. I genuinely feel like I'm getting punished for my brother's actions, and I don't find that fair at all. You are the idiot. Welcome to adulthood. Life isn't fair. Pay your rent to help your dad offset your expenses. Save up and move out when ready. He's not kicking you out. He just told you that you have to contribute to stay. I'm with you on this. His saying that everyone in his family agrees with his dad makes me think there's more to the story. All of us reading this think Dad's an idiot, so there's no way there isn't at least one person in his family who agrees, unless the brothers are unmitigated little idiots who everyone agrees would have been better served by being pushed to do more. I can see a family agreeing when a dad's finally stepping up, even when he's doing it wrong, as in this case. OP is not the idiot. Dad is. Family is. Brothers are. OP is not. It's not OP's fault that Dad didn't properly parent two older children. Dad should tell a 22-year-old to get a job or get out. Maybe set rules for OP like, if you live at home, you either need to have a job or save for a house or be in college. However, punishing the youngest child for not being a waste of space is inappropriate. Why have a kid when you're going to discard them 18 years later? I don't get the point. This is precisely how to be a father who doesn't have a relationship with his son. Leaving home at 18 in this economy sets you up for failure, especially if you're considering studying. Tim, sorry, but this is where you find out you're not his biological kid, or he hates your mother, or he was cheating when he had you. This was my first thought. The youngest isn't a fair child or something that differentiates him from the older two. Parents have favorites, dude, so get your father to co-sign a lease, get your butt moved out, and keep contact to a minimum for the foreseeable future. You are not the idiot for feeling the way you do. Your father's house rules have changed as each child burned him. Learn from your siblings' experiences and be the one who burns dear old dad with your success. My 25 male, 23-year-old sister, Katie, just moved to the same city I live in, which is not our hometown. We get along well, but something that's always annoyed me about her is since high school, she loves to latch onto my social group and has dated a couple of my friends. It always makes things awkward for me, and the friendship inevitably changes. So typically, I refrain from introducing her to my friend group. Still, since she doesn't really know many people in our city, I invited her to a recent outing with my friends for my birthday. I have a buddy I'll call Dan, who has been somewhat recently single. Unfortunately, his ex cheated on him on a girls' trip, and the breakup was awful. He still has some trust issues from it. I know that Katie and her college ex from a couple of years ago broke up because she hooked up with another guy when she visited her friends at another school. She knows how I feel about it and says she feels awful and wishes she could take it back. Anyway, at the hangout, Dan and Katie talked quite a bit, and Katie gave him her number. He asked me if it was cool if he asked her out, or if that would make things too weird. I basically told him I appreciated him asking, but he didn't need my permission. That said, I told him about her past because I knew how he felt about cheating. That was a deal breaker for him, and he started to say some not so nice stuff, but then stopped when he realized it was my sister. LOL, needless to say, he lost interest then and there. They ran into each other the other day, and while I wasn't there, I heard it was pretty awkward. She playfully teased him about not texting her yet, and he just gave her an awkward answer about being super busy. She asked me about it, telling me how much she thought they'd hit it off and everything else, when I was honest with her about what happened. Dan's one of my good friends, and I felt like I had to give him a warning. But Katie got angry. She said a lot of things to me about being a crappy brother and not letting her move on from the past and all that. Since then, I've been having some second thoughts. Obviously, I can't take it back, but she does kind of have a point that it was a couple of years ago, and she should be able to start fresh with new guys without the past coming up. But in the moment, I was just trying to protect my friend from potential heartbreak. I get both sides, I guess. Was I the idiot here? Not the idiot. It's not cool for your sister to repeatedly go after your friends. They're your friends, not disposable, not a menu. How many friendships would you have to ruin before she'd stop? She can think you're the idiot all she wants for holding her past cheating against her. Still, the only past you're holding against her is continuing to irrevocably change your friendships for the uncomfortable and awkward. Seriously, though, she had no problem finding a random guy to cheat with, so she shouldn't have any problem dating someone who's not her brother's friend. And it's not even just one, it's a couple. She most likely doesn't care what happens after they break up, because OP has to deal with the aftermath. A conversation needed to happen between them a long time ago, because she just couldn't be doing that so casually. I'm not surprised if she continues to cheat with the way she just keeps dating his friends. This all the way. She knows what she's doing. It's exploitive, and she keeps doing it. When OP warns his friends about her past, he's merely forced to play defense because she refuses to respect his friendships enough to not intentionally pursue them. The dude would have been an idiot if he didn't tell his friend. So my mom was widowed before she met my dad, and she had my 3 brothers from her first marriage. By the time I was born, they were 11, 9, and 8, and I think their dad had been gone for 3 to 4 years at that point. I've always loved and looked up to them, but I could now admit that they were never too into me. Mom would bring us all together for movie nights, family game nights, hikes, bowling, museum tours and stuff, but that gap between us never closed. I didn't see it when I was younger. I felt so lucky to have 3 big brothers, and people used to say how sweet it was to be a little girl with 3 much older brothers who looked out for her and protected her. So I believe that's how it was, and I would get so caught up whenever they visited that I ignored how much they avoided being around me and how cold they were to me. They also don't have a close relationship with my dad, but I knew they had a different one, and I thought that was pretty typical. But still, I thought they were real siblings, I guess. My oldest brother got married last year, and the wedding was the experience that opened my eyes, I guess. My brother's wife got a few sibling photos taken in different poses and stuff, and my brothers had photos together. My brother and his wife posed with all the siblings, but all the siblings did not include me. I wasn't in any of the sibling photos. My mom even came to get me, and I watched as the photos were taken without me. My mom told my brother I was waiting, but he said I'd only be in the bigger group photo at the end. When it came to the immediate family photo, it was just my mom and 3 brothers, with my brother's wife and her parents and siblings. Dad and I were not included in that. My brother did this really sweet dance with his wife's youngest sister, who's a teen, I think. I'm also a teen for reference. and that was like a major highlighted thing. But he didn't dance with me at all, and neither did my other brothers. 2 or 3 months after the wedding, it still bothered me. Then we went to my brother's house, and I saw that I wasn't visible in the bigger wedding photo, like you wouldn't even realize I was there at all. That upset me, and I told my parents I didn't want to return to the house anymore. I got kind of upset, and the whole wedding and then the photo in his house overwhelmed me, and I started crying. My mom got so angry at my brother. All 3 of my brothers told her that she was overreacting and interfering. She told them how upset it made me, and they said I was making a big deal out of something I shouldn't be, because I should have known they're not close to me and don't see me as their real sister. They said I was just being an overdramatic baby and making a big deal out of something I should just forget. They were really angry at me. My mom and I are still fighting about it. Am I the idiot? Oh, this is heartbreaking. You're not the idiot. Of course not the idiot. Maybe when they were still young, I could have acknowledged how hard it must have been for them to lose their father and then see their mother go on to make a new family. Still, they're adults now, and their behavior is just awful. I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how you felt standing there waiting for your turn in the picture. The dance with his fiance's sister is what got me. That's heartbreaking. I'm sorry you had to experience such needless exclusion. It would have cost them nothing to take a few photos with her and never order any. It's not like there are limits on how many photos can be taken at a wedding. They suck. You need to accept they don't like you and realize you might never get closure or the answer to why. I'm sorry this sucks, and as a kid, you're not to blame. Some people are just selfish idiots. I disagree. If the writer was the brother saying, "My mom wants me to treat her daughter like my sister," when she isn't, and the man who replaced my dead dad like my father, I didn't want them in my wedding photos because I don't see them as family. Everyone here would be saying the brothers were not the idiot and the parents shouldn't force them to blend with the new family and blah, blah, blah. You can't force other people to love you. Your mother's other children have experienced the family dynamics and the family life in a different way than you have. A typical sibling bond is never an obligation or owed, as painful as it may be. Long story short, my mother's been battling dementia for around 12 years, and around 4 years ago, she needed more care than what myself and my siblings could reasonably provide. My parents weren't exactly wealthy, but they worked hard their entire lives, and they always had the goals of leaving a legacy behind. My siblings wanted to split the placement cost. At the time, I wasn't in a place to help fund her care without great sacrifice. So I told my siblings to take my portion of the estate to cover my cost, which includes the money my parents earmarked for each grandchild. I knew it wouldn't be enough, but it was the least I could do. I did not tell my wife because I ran the plan for my siblings by her. She also agreed we couldn't afford to take on the amount they wanted, which was around $3,000 a month. My mother passed away in February of last year. It took this long to settle her estate, and my wife was upset when we didn't get a portion of the estate. I told my siblings to use my portion to cover my side of the expenses. She was livid. I did my best to explain that she agreed that we couldn't afford to pay $3,000 a month, and we lived too far away to provide personal assistance. So I came up with a compromise. She felt it was not my place since that money was also intended for our kid. I told her I saw where she was coming from, but I wasn't going to take money away from my parents or sibling if I wasn't helping in some shape or form. Was I the idiot here? Not the idiot. Until your mother died, it was her money, even if it was earmarked for your inheritance. She needed care. Her money should have went towards it. The only thing you did wrong was not telling your wife, since she was expecting this money to come in. But at the same time, she's kind of out of line, feeling that she and your kid should have had it above your mother. That's why he didn't tell her, because she would have fought him on this, and so he figured it was better to ask for forgiveness than permission. You are the idiot for not informing her. As you already know, you made a life-changing decision and didn't think it would be prudent to inform your wife. You guys could have done a lot to secure the education of your child in those 4 years. It wasn't the wife's inheritance. Why does the wife feel it's fair for OP's siblings to shell out, but they pay nothing? Your inheritance is not your wife's. It's literally none of her business. Would I have told my spouse if I were in OP's position? Yes, because I'm honest. But she had no right to be angry when she was counting chickens that hadn't hatched. And if my husband didn't inherit for the same reason, I'd have said good to know. It just sounds like she was planning on helping spend that inheritance. So I'm male 23, recently got out of a relationship with my ex-fiance, Mara, female 23. We were together for 3 years and engaged for 4 months. I called off the engagement and eventually broke up with Mara due to her cheating on me and lying about various things unrelated to the cheating. I think people deserve second chances, but my final straw was when I found out she'd been cheating on me with her own stepbrother, and I knew I had to walk away. In a nutshell, the breakup was very volatile. There was lots of arguing, and she tried to bargain with me, so I asked her to leave my apartment. My family was very disappointed when they found out. My parents really wanted me to marry Mara. When we first started dating, my mom gave me a family heirloom ring to propose to Mara with. Its value is sentimental. It's not made of any particular expensive materials, like gold or diamonds. My mom is now asking for the ring back, but I never got it back from Mara. Once things had cooled off, I did ask Mara for the ring. She asked why she should return it, hinting that she wanted payment. I offered her $40, and she demanded $300, plus my laptop and PS5, and threatened to pawn the ring. I called her bluff and said she was getting $40 or nothing. She said, "Have it your way," shut the door in my face and said she was pawning it. I explained the situation to my mom. My mom was furious that I didn't immediately pay Mara to get it back by any means necessary, and asked if my laptop and PlayStation were more important than a family heirloom. I told her that Mara probably wouldn't have given it back anyway, and likely already lost or pawned it. She demanded I contact my ex immediately and offer her what she wanted. I told her no, and that I'm not doing it on principle. This caused an argument between my mom and me, and she thought I was a bad son. Am I the idiot for refusing to buy the ring back? Not the idiot. She needs to give it back. An engagement ring is given in contemplation of marriage. The marriage hasn't happened and isn't going to happen. Tell her she needs to replace it intact. An engagement ring is not a gift. Go to the courthouse, file a lawsuit, have her served, and get the ring back. In a best-case scenario, you or your family hire an attorney. A laptop, PS5, and cash? Do you have that in writing? The ring is yours legally. She just valued it at $2,000 or more. Sue her for that amount or the return of the ring. A lawyer probably costs more, but I'd do this out of spite. Take her to small claims court or get a lawyer friend to send her a letter. It might scare her enough to do the right thing. I would seriously suggest that you send your mother to get the ring back from her. She's going to be awful to you, but your mother might have the ability to shame her into handing it over. What a grifter, asking for money, your computer, and your PlayStation? Bizarre. I suggest this because years ago, my grandmother was able to gently shame an ex-boyfriend of one of my cousins into getting the family china back. Man, give your mom her number and let her deal with it.